Mr. President, I have the honor to speak on behalf of 121 member states of the non-aligned movement. The General Assembly has expressed its overwhelming support for and solidarity of the people and government of Cuba through its principled position in favor of the resolution calling for the lifting of the embargo imposed against this sovereign country by the United States of America. At the 78th session of the General Assembly, most of the member states of this organization voted in favor of Resolution A/RES/78/7. In this regard, the non-aligned movement reiterates once again its strongest opposition to the promulgation and imposition of unilateral coercive measures that are not authorized by relevant organs of the United Nations and that are inconsistent with the principles of international law or the Charter of the United Nations, given their extraterritorial implications and legal character. These measures contravene the basic principles of the multilateral trading system and are used as tools of political, economic, and financial pressure against states, in particular, developing countries. The non-aligned movement has repeatedly emphasized its call on the government of the United States of America to put an end to the unilateral economic, commercial, and financial embargo that it has illegally maintained against Cuba for more than 6 decades now. The embargo, which is a breach of international law, the Charter of the United Nations, and the norms and principles governing interstate relations, constitutes a violation of Cuba's right to fully interact with the international community. Mr. President, the embargo on Cuba adversely affects the well-being of its people, preventing them, among other things, from fully enjoying and realizing their human rights, including the right to development. The direct and indirect damage inflicted by the embargo against Cuba is enormous. It affects all critical sectors of the Cuban economy, including public health, nutrition, agriculture, as well as trade, investment, tourism, and banking. The banking sector has been particularly hit. The persecution of Cuban financial transactions in third country jurisdictions, which has significant deterrent effect in economic terms, has continued. Between 1st March 2023 and 29 February 2024, the embargo caused material damages to Cuba, estimated at $5.06 billion. For decades, Cuba has been denied access to markets, international aid from international finance institutions, and technology transfer, which creates serious obstacles to socio-economic development in the country. In addition, the embargo is the main impediment to broader access to the internet, people-to-people contacts, and the development of cultural, sport, and scientific relations. The non-aligned movement reaffirms that the continuation of the embargo is totally unjustifiable and that does not correspond with our historical time. It also runs counter to Cuba's continued efforts to realize its sustainable development, including the achievement of the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. The movement expresses its deep concern over the widening of the extraterritorial nature of the embargo against Cuba, including the full implementation of Chapter 3 of the Helms-Burton Act. The non-aligned movement also rejects the reinforcement of other measures adopted by the government of the United States of America to tighten the embargo, which have had an impact on the worsening of the living conditions of Cubans. This is a serious setback to the process of normalization of bilateral relations between the two countries. Furthermore, the movement strongly condemns the inclusion of the Republic of Cuba on the unilateral list of state sponsors of terrorism of the Department of State of the United States of America, as announced on January 11, 2021. NAM rejects the politicization of the fight against terrorism and consequently rejects the unfounded accusation that Cuba sponsors terrorism. NAM looks forward to the current U.S. administration taking the necessary measures to reverse these reckless steps and moving towards normalizing relations. Mr. President, the fact that 187 member states of the United Nations voted in favor of UNGA Resolution 78/7 represents an expression of unanimity within the international community in demanding an end to this anachronistic embargo. The United States of America remains alone in pursuing its unjustified and legal economic sanctions policy. Consequently, the member states of the Non-Aligned Movement once again urge the government of the United States of America to yield to the will of the overwhelming majority of the international community and rectify its failed policies by fully complying with all relevant resolutions of the General Assembly, which call for the immediate and complete end to the embargo imposed against Cuba. In conclusion, Mr. President, the Non-Aligned Movement, while reiterating its commitment to the promotion, preservation, and strengthening of multilateralism, reaffirms that the full respect of the purposes and principles of the Charter of the United Nations, particularly those referring to sovereign equality, non-interference, and non-intervention, is critical for the effective maintenance of international peace and security. Therefore, the international community must continue working together on the reversal and elimination of economic, commercial, and financial embargo imposed by the United States of America against Cuba, given inter alia its illegal character and its extraterritorial implications. I thank you, Mr. President.